Start streaming. Okay. We're on. Okay, it's starting. Oh no.
No.
Your audience will see it. Oh, I think I have a 30-second delay.
Oh, perfect. Oh,
So,
let me move this.
Hopefully it starts. We'll see in a second.
Okay. So where's the chat function coming up?
I have it on. It should come up. It'll come up on my channel. Like it'll be like page or whatever my name is. Mimi's Booktube. We're starting a live stream. Here it is. It's coming. Yay! Okay. So it's a 30-second delay, which is kind of weird. But it's streaming now, so we're good. Let me see if I can find a link. Hello, everybody.
Oh, yep, I see me.
Oh, God. Do you want to share the link since you're on the stream? Like, on your channel. I'll also share it on mine.
Okay.
But, yeah. Okay, we're streaming. I've never done this before. Hi, everyone. If anybody ends up watching this, I am the Minimalist Booktuber, aka Paige. And who are you, my lovely friend who's taking up most of the screen?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, you're coming up on my screen, but I'm Linnell. I'm the weekend reader.
Yeah. So we're here. We were going to do a discussion on A Brief History of 7 Killings. That was our original plan for the live show. But as I found out when I called her, neither of us have finished reading it, which is like so on brand for me recently. Like, I'm not even stressed that neither of us finished it. It's so interesting already from what I've read. So, yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about it. And then we're going to talk about, like, Carib-a-Thon and why we decided to do it. And give some recs of people we like who are from the Caribbean or like, have Caribbean descent. And all the, like, fun stuff. We're just going to do it. This is weird. Yeah. Oh, my God. I don't know if I like live streaming. This is kind of stressful.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at 2 different screens to get to the chat, so I'm sorry for anyone who's looking at me thinking I'm weird. I want to make sure I get to see the chat function.
I feel like there's no way. Oh, I think there's like some kind of feedback.
Oh, yep.
Do you have noise on one of your chats?
Yeah.
If you mute it on that one, it should stop.
Yeah.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
It's weird hearing my own voice back.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how to get to see the comments. We'll make it work.
I can see them on my top chat if anybody says anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So, A Brief History of 7 Killings, if nobody knows what that is, if you weren't here like when we were talking about it originally, it's a novel by this guy called Marlon James, who I absolutely adore. He's one of my faves. And it's set over like a bunch of different decades. It starts in 1976 in Jamaica. And the first day that it covers is loosely based on the Bob Marley attempted assassination, which I didn't know was a thing until I heard about this book. Did you know it was a thing?
Yeah, I didn't. I'm not.
I feel like I don't really know anything about Bob Marley except for his...
about the affairs and the multiple kids.
Oh, I don't even know that. I just know his music and that he was a Rasta. That's it. That's all I know. But it follows like that assassination and then like all the after effects of everything that happened because of it. And it ends up in the 90s back in Jamaica, but there's like a brief part where it's in New York, which we haven't gone to yet, obviously, since we both just started it. And yeah, it won the Man Booker in 2015, which is why it was first on like my radar. And then he's coming out with a new book next year, which we're publishing where I work. And I wanted to read this one first because the next one sounds amazing. It's an African Game of Thrones, and I have like the excerpt of it, and it's really good. So yeah.
So let's try and buddy read that too.
Oh gosh, yeah. When it comes out, we are definitely reading that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So what did you think so far of your like 4 chapters that you've read?
For sure, it reminds me of home. Mm-hmm. I'm originally from the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and just like the pacing and the storytelling reminds me of how we would tell stories, and mm-hmm. I appreciated like the setup and how every character has even if it doesn't make sense right now for the story, like everyone has a purpose because everyone is a part of the bigger picture, which
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming the further I get in the book,
Yeah,
it all makes sense.
There's 75 characters total. He's like an epic sort of storyteller where he's like weaving in all of these different perspectives. And like even though they're like not really important, there's like really small characters that have like one little thing that they do that fits into the day and slots into everything that happens. But I didn't realize it was the same day until I heard another character talk about a previous character, and I was like, oh wait, this is like the same thing that's happening, and then it's from a different perspective. It was really interesting.
I feel it just reminds me of how, like, when we're telling stories, like every minute detail is important. Like, and it could be a 10-second story, but for a Caribbean person, it's like an hour-long story, and just like
literally
the drama of it, right? Because you just have to know what all is going on and who is involved, and you know, and so.
I will say for anybody trying, like, who's thinking about reading it, it is very graphic, and I did not expect that going into it. We were just talking about it, like, before we started, and, like, we were both surprised by how it's, like, very, like, there's a lot of sexual violence, which I didn't know going into it, and all the cursing I find funny, just because it's, like, bomba clot, and, like, all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh, that's so, like, ingrained into, like, how they speak, and yeah, just the sexual violence, I think, was, like, the biggest thing for me. And just the way he doesn't shy away from anything. There's homophobia in it as well. Because that is, like, admittedly a part of Caribbean culture still. People are still very homophobic, which is annoying. But it was very true, everything he was saying. Like, you could see a Caribbean guy saying something like that. Like, somebody who's always lived there and isn't exposed to, like, Western culture. Especially because it's from the 70s, too. So I was always, like, keeping that in the back of my mind, even though it was, like, annoying me and it was, like, gross and everything, like, was... You viscerally react to everything happening, right? Like...
I think and this might sound weird for someone watching the video, but the graphicness of it almost made the story even more authentic, because that's just, like, a lived experience. And I guess, you know, it's sad but true. Like, the violence against women is just one of those things that, you know, you have to navigate most times when you're reading a piece in the Caribbean, right? You can't have one most times without the other.
Yeah, and I feel like the way he describes it, it's never like he's, like, making it gratuitous. He's just describing it as it would happen in this scene and as how somebody would see it. So, like, it's uncomfortable to, like, listen to it, I guess, because I'm not reading it physically. And I feel like that adds to, like, my reaction to it, is because I already react when I'm, like, listening to an audiobook. I'll react to it. Like, this is times 10. Like, on the streetcar this morning, there's this business guy standing beside me, and I'm just there, like...
You know, but I think for anyone who wants to read it, I think it might be a cool experience to listen to it, because it does have the Jamaican dialect, and it's patois, right? In Jamaica?
Yeah, they have patois because they have, like, different words and stuff.
Yeah, and so I think...
Hi to the person who said hey in the chat.
I think it's really it adds to, like, the story experience when you can hear it in the colloquial language. Right now, it might be difficult because you might not understand certain words, but for me, it's making the story more exciting, and I'm enjoying it a lot more because I'm hearing it from an accent, and so it's like, oh yeah, I understand what this person is saying. The other thing that I think is really interesting is, I can't remember which character was talking about how language separated people.
Oh my god, so true. And that was, like, really early on too.
And I was just like, and I know, like, that was the first thing when I moved to America. My parents talked to me a lot about, you know, don't lose that part of me. But people just make assumptions about you when you have this harsh accent, right? Like, they assume that you're not educated, or, you know, or you're dumb or whatever. And it came up in the book. And so when they assume, like, white people would just be naturally, tourists or whatever.
Yeah.
But then when they heard them speaking in patois, it was just like, oh, what is this? So I thought that was like really interesting because it doesn't escape, right? Like,
yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting.
And also, like, with that entire chapter where like the person was talking about like the exchange of like a white person having the dialect, I almost feel like is also so jarring because they still have that innate privilege with them, but they're allowed to speak that way and not be seen as uneducated, not be seen as lesser than. It's like almost like a novelty if a white person has an accent from the Caribbean.
Right.
Yeah. So I thought it was really interesting.
What is that called? Something burden.
You would know better than me. You're the smart one here, Miss Academia.
I'll think about it. I'll remember the sociological concept soon.
Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, like, also later on, have you met the Rolling Stones or whatever magazine guy?
The producer.
The magazine guy. There's like a magazine guy that comes. He's American. We were like talking about the audiobook and the experience of listening to it. So like the Jamaican was really good. I wasn't expecting it. So like having a Jamaican accent, like tell some of the story was really cool. And also for like all the female characters, there's female actresses like voicing over that part. But we were also saying like I was listening to the American parts on 2-speed because I'm so used to listening to like American accents on 2-speed because I can understand it. But then it would switch to a Jamaican chapter and I lost myself so quickly. I would have to like run for my phone to change it back to like 1.5. Yeah. And I just love like they got the speed of the accent as well. Like it's so authentic because when you're speaking with the accent, you're speaking 12 times faster because your story's long and you want to say it as quickly as possible.
Right. Yeah, I didn't change the speed on mine. Like I
don't know how you did that, man. Like I could not understand anything. I was shook. Yeah. I was like shook on the car, like, what is happening right now?
No, I did have to rewind on Papa Lo because I think his story was like really like I don't know what was going on with his story that I didn't understand what was going on. So that story I had to slow down a little bit. But
also, doesn't it open with like who's the narrator at the very beginning of the book? Because it was like omniscient, almost like how the book thief had death as the character, because this person, maybe it was the singer, I don't know, but it was somebody who was dead that was talking about like death, and it was just like this very like grand opening to the entire story.
It felt like really like I don't know. I thought it set it up like a prologue of who's eventually going to die. And I was just like, this is spooky. But then it started making me rethinking about death. Like you have to take care of all of the people and all of the things that you want to do. Don't wait. But I don't know who it is. It just says
it was like this
author George Jennings.
Yeah, and like we haven't.
I don't know who that is yet. Yeah,
which is really interesting. Maybe he's like the random person that ends up dying.
Well, I'm wondering if it's somebody who's wealthy. Who also dies on that day. Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe it's all obviously connected through one person.
Right.
We're all trying to figure out who that person is.
And several people, obviously.
Yeah. This
is not a spoiler, anyone, so don't come at me.
It's literally in the first little bit, and it's described.
Right. I feel like multiple people will die on this day.
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's set up for that.
We're definitely going to finish this and actually talk about, like, the full book. I promise. We're both just super busy, and we didn't anticipate it. I just want to say,
it's really thick,
It is. I didn't expect it to be as big as it is. I saw, like, 88 chapters, and I was like, oh, God, what did I say I was going to read in a week as soon as I started my job? Of course. That's what happened.
And I had 8 other books that I tried to read.
I didn't even bother touching the other book I said I was going to try to read this week.
You said that. You warned me. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. So I didn't read. So I got to 5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how you
yeah.
did that.
There's that. But I did get to read Poet X, the Poet X.
Oh, okay. How was that? That's always been on my list.
Loved it. I think you'll like it. This is a quick read.
Mm-hmm.
And it has a Trinidadian character in it.
Oh, okay. That's definitely high up on my list now.
Yeah. It was unexpected. And you know how everyone is hyping it up on BookTube?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'm not going to like it. I did.
Of course.
I really, really liked it because the main character is Dominican and the love interest is Trinidadian, and it just talks about how she's navigating her parents, her rape culture, falling in love, religion.
Religion's such a big factor.
Yeah, and so, but she has. So, I mean, the story is really hard in the sense of, and there's one piece about she has a twin brother in here, and I don't want to say that they have a really unique relationship.
Yeah,
and there's a storyline about him that I don't think you get without reading, so I won't say it.
Okay.
But their relationship is really really interesting. There is a little bit of violence in here as well. But I think going back to like the violence against women, like the abuse, there's some like verbal abuse in here. And I just think about like how harmful not tradition, but like how sometimes Caribbean parents don't do a good job of like talking about certain topics with their kids out of
well, like you said, tradition too, because I even remember when I was younger, they would make like offhand comments like, oh, you need to learn how to cook so that you can get a husband. And I'm just like,
yep. What?
Exactly. What I would always be like, I'm cooking for myself, and if I got a husband, he's cooking for me. So, like,
right. So it's a really, really good one. So when I see you in September, if you don't read it, I'll bring it to you. So
yes. Oh my God, who publishes that?
Let me see.
It should be on the spine, I think, at the bottom. They'll have like the Harper. Gar. I was hoping it was a Penguin book so I could just grab it. Damn.
Oh, and this one was really interesting. Hurricane Child.
That one's also on my list. I've been like eyeing that all year, pretty much.
Yeah. So this one is based from where I'm from, which is why I read it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how I feel about it because it's about a queer little girl, and she comes out really young. But what I think I'm not sure about is, and I guess it's because it's a middle grade book. It was just too short. Like there was things about the book that weren't really explained. Like the mother's storyline. There's Ghost in here. It's not really explained what role she has. So like there's like some plot holes for me.
Okay.
But other than that, like it's a really interesting book. And she talks about places. I'm like, I know it. Because you never hear about the Virgin Islands in books. Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know, nostalgic and beautiful. So
I feel like Jamaica is the most common when you're looking at like Caribbean books. Like,
that's the one thing I think I really am happy that we took this on because when people think of the Caribbean,
they think first of Jamaica because that's had the most export into Western culture.
Right. With the music. And I'm just like,
yeah.
The
there's
Caribbean.
Like there's more places. People do know Barbados now though, because whenever I say it, they're like Rihanna, and I'm like,
right,
yeah,
right,
sure. That's one Hall of Fame.
Right. I don't have anybody to Hall of Fame. Oh, actually, what's the guy? Whose line is it? What's his name?
I would not know that.
I see his face. There's like a handful of people from the Virgin Islands, but clearly, I don't even remember him.
But yeah, like she was saying, we decided to do Carib-a-Thon because we realized, like, there's a few of us in the community. And when I say a few, I mean, like, I was looking for more people, and I got, like, the same people repeatedly, like, given to me as a list of names when I was asking for, like, Caribbean booktubers. And, yeah, so we decided we just wanted to focus on Caribbean books. I used to read them a lot, obviously, when I lived in Barbados, because we would study it in school. Like, we would have, like, our traditional, like, Shakespeare and stuff. But all of our other books were Caribbean focused, like Caribbean poetry, all that kind of stuff, because that's what we studied for CXCs. And I sort of missed having like that. It's almost like it's not even rep. It's like having that context when you're reading something. Sort of like the person writing like it's a very specific understanding, and they have it. And like when you're reading it, you just feel like you're reading about the different culture, and you feel seen in a different. Even if it's not about your island specifically, there's a lot of stuff that is across all the islands, like experiences. I feel, even though we have like stupid rivalries with different islands on Twitter.
I posted on my Instagram account recipes for Johnny Cake. Do you guys have that in Barbados?
Yeah. I saw it, and it was like, but we called it fried dumplings. So So that was part of the conversation. What do you call this thing, and how do you make it? And that was part of the conversation. That even though we have these commonalities, because of resources and ingredients and access to certain things, we call it different things because of like translation of certain languages, right? And because, you know, we have to talk about the colonization process, right? Like, you know, certain words just don't translate into whatever dominant language really well. And so I also noticed, like, even with plantain, we, like, some people say plantain, some people say plantain. And there was a whole argument on Twitter between different islands being like, is this not this? What are you talking about?
Or peas and rice, or rice and peas.
It's rice and peas for me. I will say I am very staunch.
Peas and rice!
No! Rice and peas. It just sounds weird when people say peas and rice to me.
But just, or wine or wine. You know, right. And so yes.
There's just so many different. So, like, you need to have more than one island shown, because, like, there are the similarities across it, but there are also, like, the minute differences that just, like, people just need to, like, learn about. Like, Barbados, I want a book written about it. Like, there are some, obviously, there's Barbadian authors that have been published into, like, the UK canon, but I haven't read them yet, so I don't know how I'm going to enjoy it or not, because they're really old as well. Like, the older books are, like, from the 70s, I think. But anyway, that's why we decided to do Carib-a-Thon. And I was thinking we could each shout out a booktuber or like a blogger that's from the Caribbean or like has Caribbean heritage. You want them? I'm going to let you go first.
Well, the first one that comes to mind, I'm sure will come to mind for you, Sajid.
Sajid, love him.
And there was another one. Let me see. So while you think of
Don't say who I wanted to. I bet you're going to say the same person.
Well, I already said one, so I won't say another one.
You can say another one if you want.
I need to look her up. I think well, I don't want to get where she's from wrong. Because, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It's very important that you get people's
islands
right. So let me look while you say yours.
Do you know the name of the channel? Because I feel like we're talking about the same person.
Oh, no. It was in our Google Doc.
Oh, I didn't even get it. I got it from Sajid because I put up a story asking for Rex. And he gave me, like, a whole list of people, which was, like...
Oh, look at him.
He's, like... By whole list, I mean, like, 4 people, but that was including me. So... We need to, like, grow our Caribbean, though, community. If you're from the Caribbean and you're watching this, as I said, let me know. I want to find all of you.
So... Well, of course, Marina... Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love her, too.
Joe...
Okay, we have different people.
Joe the Great, she's Haitian.
Oh, okay, cool.
And Nezel, she's from Grenada.
She was on the list that Sajid gave me.
Okay.
And then also, those two.
I have.
And then for me, I wanted to shout out Ariel's book list. I'm going to leave links to all these people in the description. Probably tomorrow is when I'm going to get around to editing the description box. But Ariel's book list is what it is. I just looked her up and I love her videos, and her accent just makes me smile. She's from Tobago, and like her bookshelf is goals. It is pure white and just so pretty, and then you can hear like all the birds and stuff in the background. I'm just like,
Aww.
If I filmed when I lived in Barbados, it would be like this, except I wouldn't have a pretty bookshelf like that. So yeah, that's who I'm shouting out. And what's one book you think from like that anybody should read, like everybody should read? I already talked about this since also the start, so that's not allowed to be mentioned again because I'm always talking about that.
So I think The House on Mango Street.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good one.
I feel like I've read it twice, and each time I found something. I mean, twice, right? So both times I'm like, oh, I didn't remember this from the last time, and I feel like it's really, really good. And I feel like you should read Poet X.
Yeah,
it's so good. So yeah, those two.
And then I think you guys should read A Small Place by Jamaica Kincaid. It's one of my fave pieces of nonfiction. It's a short collection of essays. I read it during university. In my third year, I did a contemporary lit course, and that just happened to be on it. And I got really excited, as I always do when I see some sort of like Caribbean lit on any kind of reading list. And it's about Antigua, I'm pretty sure. And she just talks about like the political issues and the societal issues that are happening while she's there. And it just really focuses on like the reluctant dependence an island has on its tourism like industry. And given everything that's happening now, like with traveling issues and everything happening in Barbados as well politically, it's just every time I go back to it, I find something new that I'm just like, yes, that is so important right now. So yeah, that's my suggestion for a book. And if you guys have any books that you think are really good for Caribbean rap, let us know too.
For sure.
And to wrap this up, we're thinking of making this monthly. We had a little talk about it, but we would actually read books. We would actually try to finish a book before we did it. And we would do it monthly so we could finish a book. I think I need a full month to finish A Brief History of Seven Killings, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I need to plan my life out better than this. And now, both of us were traveling. And
honestly, June and July was so bad. It was so bad. And we didn't expect it because we like started this idea so long ago. We're like, oh yeah, we can totally do this. And then we realized like life got crazy. Yeah. Yeah, so we're going to try.
We're going to do it.
Yeah, we'll try and make it a monthly thing, like around the end of the month. So we'll have time to read, and we'll always choose a book. Probably going to be A Brief History of Seven Killings for next month.
Everyone.
Yeah.
What the show's name means?
Oh, Bashment Book Show?
Yeah.
Bashment is just like this word that means like, I don't even know how to describe it.
It's like a gathering, no? Like where people come?
In Barbados, we also use it as like, oh, this is like pure bashment. Like it's like lit.
Oh, see so, again.
Like, this is bashment, like yeah.
So where I'm from, it would be like a party.
Yeah, so, it's also like that kind of yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that brief, like that whole connotation of like it's a gathering, but it's like a lit gathering.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
It's not just like a quiet gathering. It's like there's life to the party.
It's Caribbean people. Yeah. Would it ever be quiet?
Well, there's like limes, which are like we just lime.
Well, that's true. That's true.
People are like, "What are the fruit limes?" I'm like, "No, limes are like you just sit around at somebody's house and chill."
Yeah, so I posted common phrases the other day, and lime was one of them. To me, hang out, and
I didn't even know like other islands use that. I was just like, oh, this must be a Bajan thing.
Yeah, no, it's like we liming. Yeah, I was I was having drinks with a friend the other day, and I said something. She's like, "What does that mean?" I was like, sometimes it just comes out.
Yeah, like. Yeah. I feel like it's almost like when it's like another language. Like sometimes there's just no real translation into proper English when you're saying something.
Yeah, it's all context, people. All context.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, we're gonna do this Bashment Book Show once a month. This was the first one, which was kind of messy because I did not know how to do a live show and figuring that
out.
It worked out, but it was stressful for the 2 hours I was sitting here trying to work out how to just do this. But it was fun. I actually kind of like it.
Oh, shoot. I didn't post it on any of my things. So
people will find it after. This is our tester anyway. This is us trying to figure out if we can do a live show. And clearly we can talk for half an hour.
You know, we should be listening to music in the back. You want to do Rihanna to, like...
Oh, my God.
Close us out?
Stop. Okay, let me see if I can make some Rihanna.
No one report us for copyright, okay?
Imagine we get sued because we played 30 seconds of Bitch Better Have My Money.
Right? We're trying to honor Queen Rihanna.
Honestly, she is my queen. Every time somebody mentions her, I'm
every time. And
people are always like, I don't expect you to be such a big fan. And I'm like, I have to be. Exactly.
That is like blasphemy.
What should we do? What song? There's so many. Where's the... Hold on. This is hard. Oh, I'm gonna go with this. This is a classic. Oh, it's playing from my Beats. Oh my God. I am tragic. I'm trash at technology. Can you tell? Hold on. Here it goes. I'm dying. Oh my God.
And on that note, right?
We are dying. So thank you if you sat through and watched this with us. We are silly and I love it. We will see you guys in a month. Hopefully we will both have finished the book. I'm going to try to listen to it every day. I swear. If I do not finish this, I will accept a punishment of some kind. Like no buying books for a month or something. So bye, guys.
I'm not signing on to that.
Just me. I will be the one that accepts this punishment.
I will support you, though. I will support
Thank you. So we'll see you guys in a month. Bye.
Bye.
We have to finish up. We have to figure out how to finish these kind of streams. Anyway, peace, guys.